So this girl, Emma, is having the best day of her life, right? She's in this gorgeous white dress, her makeup is perfect, she just married the love of her life, Paul, and she's literally glowing with happiness. But here's the thing about Emma. She has no idea that her own family is about to completely destroy her world. And I mean completely. See, Emma comes from this wealthy family in Connecticut, and her three older siblings, we'll call them Kate, James, and Ryan, they've always been competitive about everything. Like everything. Who gets the best grades, who makes the most money, who dad loves more, you know the deal. But they've also always thought Emma was naive and way too trusting, especially when it comes to guys. So when Emma announces she's marrying Paul after only dating him for 8 months, her siblings are like, oh, hell no, this is going to be a disaster. But instead of talking to her about it like normal human beings, they decide to do something absolutely diabolical. Picture this. It's Emma's wedding reception, right? Everyone's dancing, the champagne is flowing, and Emma is having the time of her life. She's dancing with Paul, and she looks over and sees her three siblings huddled together at their table, whispering and looking at their phones. And she's like, oh, they're probably just sharing photos from the ceremony. But then Kate walks over to her, and she's got this weird smirk on her face. And she's like, Emma, can we talk to you for a second? And Emma's like, sure, what's up? Thinking maybe they want to give her a sweet toast or something. So Kate leads her to this quiet corner, and James and Ryan follow, and they're all looking at Emma with these big grins. And Kate's like, so Emma, we have something to tell you. And Emma's like, okay, what? And then Kate drops the bomb. We've been placing bets on how long your marriage is going to last. And Emma just freezes, like literally stops breathing for a second. And she's like, what do you mean? Hoping she misheard. But then James pulls out his phone and shows her this group chat they have called Emma's Marriage Death Pool. And there are literally dozens of messages about when her marriage is going to fall apart. Ryan bet 6 months, James bet 8 months, Kate went with a full year because she's optimistic. And get this, they each put $10,000 into this bet. $10,000 each. Emma is staring at this phone screen and she can see all these messages like, Paul is definitely cheating by Christmas, and I give it until she finds out about his gambling problem, and she's too stupid to see the red flags. And Emma's just standing there in her wedding dress, watching her siblings laugh about how her marriage is basically a joke to them. But then it gets worse, so much worse. Because Kate's like, oh, and Emma, we've been doing some research on Paul. And she shows Emma these photos on her phone. Photos of Paul at bars with other women, photos of him on dating apps, photos of him coming out of some random apartment building. And Emma's like, where did you get these? And James is like, we hired a private investigator 2 months ago. We wanted to have ammunition for when this whole thing blows up. But here's the thing. Emma looks at these photos and she recognizes some of them because she was there when they were taken. Like, one photo shows Paul talking to some blonde woman at a bar, but Emma remembers that night. That was Paul's cousin Sarah, and Emma had literally gone to the bathroom when the photo was taken. So Emma's like, this is Sarah, his cousin. And Kate's like, sure it is, with this condescending laugh. And Emma realizes that her siblings have been so determined to prove that Paul is bad for her that they've been twisting everything to fit their narrative. But then Ryan says something that changes everything. He's like, Emma, we love you, but you need to wake up. Paul is using you for your money, and everyone can see it except you. And Emma just snaps, like something inside her breaks. She looks at her 3 siblings, these people who are supposed to love and support her, and she realizes they've been plotting against her happiness for months. They've been hoping her marriage would fail so they could win money of her misery. So Emma takes a deep breath and she's like, you know what? Fine. You want to bet on my marriage? Let's make this interesting. And her siblings are like, what do you mean? Thinking she's about to admit they're right. But Emma's like, I want in on this bet. I'm betting that my marriage lasts longer than any of yours ever did. And that hits different. because Kate's been divorced twice, James's marriage fell apart after 3 years, and Ryan's never been in a relationship longer than 6 months. And then Emma drops the nuclear bomb. She's like, and since you're so sure Paul is cheating on me, let's talk about what I know about all of you. So she turns to Kate and she's like, Kate, should I tell everyone here about how you've been having an affair with your yoga instructor for the past 6 months while your husband thinks you're at book club? And Kate's face goes white. Then she turns to James and she's like, or James, should we discuss how you've been embezzling money from Dad's company to fund your crypto addiction? And James starts stuttering. And finally, she looks at Ryan and she's like, and Ryan, I'm sure your friends would love to know that you've been catfishing women on dating apps using photos from when you were 20 pounds lighter and actually had hair. Her siblings are just standing there in shock because sweet, naive Emma just destroyed them in 30 seconds. But Emma's not done. She's like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to take your disgusting bet and you're going to donate that $30,000 to charity tonight, right now. Or I'm going to walk back into my reception and tell everyone exactly what kind of people you really are. And her siblings are like, Emma, you can't be serious. But Emma's already walking away. She goes back to the reception, grabs the microphone, and she's like, excuse me, everyone, I have an announcement. The whole room goes quiet, and Emma says, my siblings just informed me that they've been betting money on when my marriage will fail. They each put $10,000 on it. So I'd like to thank them for their generous $30,000 donation to the local women's shelter, which they'll be making tonight. The room explodes. People are gasping. Some of Emma's aunts are literally clutching their pearls. And Emma's siblings are standing there looking like they want to disappear into the floor. But then Paul takes the microphone and he's like, and since we're sharing family secrets, I should probably mention that Emma's siblings hired a private investigator to follow me around for the past 2 months, hoping to find dirt on me for their bet. At this point, Emma's parents are mortified. The wedding guests are talking amongst themselves, and Emma's siblings realize they've been completely exposed as the toxic people they are. But then the beautiful twist. Emma and Paul had actually figured out about the private investigator weeks ago. Paul had noticed the same car following him, and when he told Emma, they decided to have some fun with it. So they staged a bunch of fake scenarios to mess with the investigation. Those photos of Paul with other women, they were all planned. Emma walks over to her siblings one last time, and she's like, you spent so much energy trying to prove my marriage would fail that you never stopped to think about why yours already did. But don't worry, Paul and I will send you a postcard from our 5th anniversary celebration. And with that, Emma takes Paul's hand and they walk out of their own reception, leaving her siblings standing there with their bet, their exposed secrets, and a room full of family members who now know exactly what they're really like. Oh, and in case you're wondering, Emma and Paul just celebrated their 3rd anniversary last month, and they're expecting their first child. Her siblings? Well, Kate's getting divorced again, James got fired when their dad found out about the embezzlement, and Ryan is still catfishing people on dating apps. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's just proving people wrong and living your best life while they watch from the sidelines, knowing they bet against the wrong person.